You've heard the hype about AI writing code, right? But what does it actually feel like to build something real with these tools? Not just a little script, but a full-blown application. Well, today, we're going to get past the marketing and talk about what it really means to code at the speed of thought. Magic. That's the word that keeps popping up. It's that initial whoa moment when you see something incredibly complex just appear. It's what gets developers so fired up. And that's exactly how software engineer Stephen Miller described his first time seriously building with an AI partner. So what did this so-called magic actually create? This wasn't some little toy app we're talking about. Stephen built a legitimate feature-packed writing application for authors. We're talking project management, a full editor, and get this, a complex interactive graph to map out character relationships. Yeah, definitely not your standard Hello World project. And here is the absolutely wild part. That whole application, with all those features, he built the first working version in just 16 hours. 16. That is a tiny fraction of what it would normally take. This is the kind of speed we're talking about. It's a total game changer.
But, we all know there's no such thing as real magic. There's always a trick. So how does this really work on a practical, day-to-day basis? And maybe even more important, what happens when the magic trick fails and everything just breaks? Let's pull back the curtain.
All right, first things first. The single most important lesson from developers who are actually doing this stuff is simple. The plan you make is everything. The AI doesn't have a vision for your project. You do. Flutter developer Andrea Bizzato just nails it here. You can't just throw a vague idea at the AI and hope for the best. The quality of what you get out is directly tied to the quality of what you put in. You give it a garbage prompt, you're going to get a garbage result. Simple as that. So what's the secret weapon here? It's a master plan, a single document that holds the entire context of your project. A lot of devs are even calling it something like CLO.md. Think of it as the project's long-term memory. It's a single source of truth that you give the AI every single time you talk to it, so it never forgets what you're trying to build. And we're not talking about a simple to-do list. A really good master plan has the whole shebang, the high-level vision, super specific requirements, even your team's code style, and the exact commands to build and test the application. You're basically creating a manual to teach the AI how to be the perfect developer for your project. And this is exactly what happens when you decide to wing it. Stephen Miller admits he got too excited, jumped the gun, and ended up paying for it with a massive, painful refactoring mess just a few hours in. See? That planning step isn't just nice to have, it's the foundation that keeps the whole thing from falling apart. Okay, so you've got this rock-solid plan. Now what? Well, you have to actually communicate that plan to the AI. And that brings us to the next critical skill, learning to prompt like a pro. The best way to think about this is to imagine the AI as this brilliant apprentice. It's incredibly smart, unbelievably fast, and never needs a coffee break. But it has zero intuition and zero context. It can do anything you ask, but you, as the senior architect, have to give it crystal clear step-by-step instructions. Just look at the difference here. On the left, a pretty vague request. On the right, a super specific one, using XML tags to structure the prompt. Now, why the tags? Well, it turns out that models like Claude were trained on tons of data that was structured just like this. So when you use these tags, you're basically speaking its native language. It helps the AI clearly tell your instructions apart from the code or text it needs to work with. Here's a neat little power user trick for trickier problems. It's called chain of thought prompting. Instead of just asking for the final code, you tell the AI to think out loud, step by step. You ask it to break the problem down, explain its reasoning, and then give you the answer. You're basically asking it to show its work, and it almost always leads to a smarter, more robust solution. But let's be real, it's not always this smooth. The apprentice messes up, it gets confused. Sometimes it just hallucinates a solution that makes no sense at all. So let's talk about the frustrating part, when the magic completely fizzles out. The pain of refactoring. This quote from Stephen Miller just says it all, doesn't it? The absolute biggest headaches, the most painful moments, almost always happen because of a mistake made way back in the planning phase. Trying to pivot the core architecture of AI-generated code, oh man, it can be a nightmare. And you start to see the same problems over and over. The AI completely forgets what you told it 10 minutes ago, which is why that master plan file is so crucial. It'll spit out code that looks perfect, but has a tiny hidden bug. Its first attempt at a user interface might be, let's just say, creatively ugly. And the worst is getting stuck in that bug fix rabbit hole, where fixing one thing causes the AI to break two more.
So if the AI is this brilliant but flawed apprentice, what does that make you? Well, this whole thing isn't about being replaced. It's about a promotion. Your role is changing from being the one who lays the bricks to the one who designs the entire building. You're the architect now.
This table really breaks it down. The old job was all about the how, writing the code, debugging functions, grinding out features. The new job is all about the what and the why. You define the requirements, you design the system, and you are the ultimate quality control, reviewing and validating what the AI produces. Your value shifts from your typing speed to the clarity of your vision. So these are the new rules of the game. You have to be ruthlessly specific. You need to plan things out so you can test each little piece. And you can never, ever just blindly trust what the AI gives you. You have to guide it, review it, and correct it. Your most important job now is to hold that crystal clear picture of the final product in your head. And that brings us to the big takeaway here. The conversation isn't really about AI replacing developers. It's about a tool that is so powerful, it's fundamentally changing the job description. The developers who master this new way of thinking, the architects, the planners, the guides, they're the ones who are going to build the future, and they're going to do it faster than ever before. So the only real question is, are you ready?